Hello. I'm traveling right now as I film this. You know, when you're watching it, I'm probably not traveling anymore. But I got to Bismarck and I realized, hey, I never filmed my book reviews, so here it is. I'm going to talk about Kevin Hearne's Ink and Sigil. I apologize that I'm on the cell phone. I did actually bring my camera because I had some photography I wanted to do on the way. Battery's dead. So, doing it on the cell phone. But anyway, the book I wanted to talk about is Kevin Hearne's Ink and Sigil. Now, you may have heard of Kevin Hearne. He did I can't remember if it was 7 or 8 book series called the Iron Druid series. It was about a druid who somehow survived into the modern era and kept himself looking young, like 21 or something. And so what this shares, they're both set in the same universe. It's a modern fantasy. This one, however, takes place in modern Scotland, whereas the Iron Druid was more in Arizona and southwesty type places. The character in this one is Al McBarris. He's not a druid. He's actually a what did I write down here? He's a sigil agent. We'll get to that. He's a lot older. He's 60 years old, and sadly does not own an Irish wolfhound, although he does pick up a hobgoblin. So the book opens with Al McBarris is investigating his dead apprentice. It's told in the first person. Yeah, I'm looking down at my notes, and it's more obvious because of this goofy angle I got to do with the cell phone. He relates this in the first person, so your first info dump is that this is the 7th apprentice that has died under weird circumstances for him. This apprentice apparently died eating a scone for breakfast and choked to death on it. Yeah. One thing I did not like with this book that becomes evident the first time he talks to somebody is Kevin Hearne likes to show the dialect of an area and the spelling for all the dialogue. And just want to pull my teeth out every time I run across that. But maybe you're into that. I don't know. I don't like it. Our hero, the sigil agent, has 3 sigils with him. And this is where you get to learn what he does. They're his form of magic. So what he does is write strange arcane symbols on paper using different ingredients, and they can do different magic-y things, like give them endurance or make people open to suggestion or whatever. I bought this book even though I knew it was junk food, the book equivalent of junk food. Just like the Iron Druid series was, because in the preview I'd read, the main character uses an Aurora 88 fountain pen, which is one that I like. So, how could I not buy it then? And I was hoping for more fountain pen references, and there's a few sprinkled throughout the book, but, the fact that there was an Aurora 88 was the main thing. So he visits this dead apprentice's flat using his magic sigils to get in, and goes to the guy's workshop, and yeah, you get to see what a workshop of a sigil agent looks like. It's full of cubbies of different ingredients to make the inks and a collection of fountain pens. If he's an apprentice, probably the apprentice is just using pilot. God damn it. Sorry, I said that out loud. Pilot Metropolitans and stuff. But anyway, the point is, there's also a hobgoblin in a cage. Apparently hobgoblins are little. I didn't know that. So it turns out that his assistant was a trafficker in fae folk. And yeah, this is a very thinly disguised allegory of human trafficking. So there is despite some of the juvenile humor in this and some of the other quirks, there is some serious heavy-duty stuff to it, too. We learned that Mr. McBarris has several helpers. He actually kind of adopts the hobgoblin. I'll just tell you, this is an example of the author's sort of juvenile humor. The hobgoblin's name is Buck Foy. And if I have to explain that to you, why that's juvenile humor, you're not old enough for me to explain it to you. Well, anyway, he has Nadia, who's his goth muscle. And we have, more of his humor. Saxon Codpiece, who is a computer hackle. He gets sigils as payments and uses them for sex stuff. And we also learned that Al McBarris is under a curse that causes people to hate him the more he talks to them. So I think his wife is dead, but he lost his kid that way. His son just will not talk to him. He's so angry at him because of this curse. I guess fathers talk to sons. And the whole book has, just like the Iron Druids, lots of shenanigans. At 60 plus, our hero chooses not to get into any sexual shenanigans. Although at 60 plus, that sort of thing would still be going on. He does get into action, but there are consequences. Okay, when I say sexual shenanigans, I should explain why I put that in there. When I read the Iron Druid book, the Iron Druid guy is having sex with all kinds of different goddesses. They all just want to have sex with him and show up at his house to have sex with him. So yeah, I was kind of relieved we don't have the marathon sex with endless goddesses in this book. I don't need my heroes to be these... Okay, I'll just move on. I was sure I was going to say something I would regret later, be used against me, so I'll move on. So he does get into action. In a book like this with human trafficking, only it's Fey equivalent, there would have to be action. But there's consequences for the action. He's 60 plus. I'm only 45, and I have consequences when I'm a little too physically active, more than I did when I was younger. So same kind of thing for our hero. So I appreciated that. This is a universe where all the different gods and tales of the supernatural are real. So you never know what kind of beast is going to show up. And he gets into it with some trolls, and I can't remember if there's a goblin, and a couple other more obscure supernatural creatures from other mythologies. Because one thing I do like is he gets away from the standard... Oh, that's my stuff I was trying to hide. He gets away from the standard elves and whatever's like Tolkien. He definitely delves into, one of his books he got into Indian mythology, which I thought was kind of fun. And he's gotten into Native American mythology, Christian mythology, he Norse mythology. He gets into all of it. Anyway, we do eventually learn why the Fae are being trafficked. I couldn't come up with anything, so I'm glad he did, and he actually did have a satisfying explanation in a convoluted fantasy book kind of way. Don't read too deep into it, as it's a fantasy novel, and there's a little bit of travel in the book, so that's kind of fun. I appreciated the more gritty action. Some of his books I've read, the hero is basically invincible. Oh, I've got a magic way to heal if I just go touch some dirt. I'm going to go touch some dirt now. Bye. He actually hurts and is injured. It does retain some of Hearne's silly humor. I did like that he's not bantering while he's battling magic beasts, but the silly humor, juvenile toilet humor type of stuff is still there. And the book is a product of its time, which if you're writing modern fantasy kind of makes sense. It makes reference to Brexit, which in Scotland would be of interest to the people who live in Scotland. The majority of voters in Scotland were opposed to Brexit, but it didn't matter because there was a lot more voters who were in favor of it elsewhere in the UK. There's even a possibility that Scotland will break off from the UK over Brexit. Don't know if it'll happen, but that's a thing that could happen. So I appreciated that they reference two orange leaders who came to power recently in different countries, one of them the UK and one of them the United States. So he's aware of the world going on and references it, which, will sort of date it, but, it's supposed to take place in the modern world, so it does set it in its place. Let's see. Books like this one, really, they are junk food. It's entertaining, readable. I will probably never reread it in my life. The reason I'm not holding up a paper copy wasn't worth buying one. I was, like I said, hoping for more on fountain pens, but let's be real. How many fantasy readers are going to be like, oh, a Pelican M1000? Wait, when he said Aurora 88, did he mean a vintage one or a modern one? How much can fountain pens do in a book other than, well, I guess they could write it. And it does make me curious, and I couldn't find the answer to it, if Kevin Hearne is himself a fountain pen guy. If he is, that would be very cool. If he isn't, I still think it's cool that he referenced them in his book. So there is that. So yeah, if you can get this one from the library, that might be better. Entertaining, but not worth reading more than once. So I'm going to do something different. I'm going to ramble because I'm in Bismarck, and Bismarck has a Barnes & Noble. Now, I have not been in a bookstore. I have not been in Bismarck since the pandemic started. What was it, a year and a half ago? Something like that. I will admit I do spend too much money online on books. But anyway, so I spent way too much money at Barnes & Noble. So, you saw my mess again. So let's just take a look here at a couple of the things I bought. One of them that interested me and surprised me, Pen World. So is there a fountain pen community in Bismarck that I did not know about? If so, contact me. Because it must be on the shelves there for a reason. A couple other magazines I bought. A copy of The Humanist. I don't subscribe to magazines because I don't always have time to read them, and then you have to throw them away. But once in a while it's fun to buy one. Yes has a bit about solving the plastic problem. Free Inquiry, which, anyway, we'll have to read that. And since I'm here for an education summit, it was appropriate that I found Time Magazine's The Future of Education. So we'll see what that's like. Now, as far as books, I've seen this one advertised. I guess I knew it was an HBO series, but I don't have TV, so a lot of things like that pass me by. But Lovecraft Country looks interesting. You probably know I like the book Dune. One of these days, when I feel more confident in my book reviewing skills, I'm going to do a book review on Dune. But anyway, I did find a graphic novel of Dune, which I'm not huge into graphic novels, but I guess it was my celebrating my first excursion since the pandemic, post-vaccine excursion. I kind of went nuts. I bought, something that looked interesting. Might be able to tick off some reviewers on my book review part of the channel now, not just my fountain pen part of the channel. And I found a education book that looked interesting. And one more. Yes, I'm silly enough I bought this. Yeah, I'll admit it. I do watch the TV show. I rent it on Amazon Prime. I've been trying not to give my money to Amazon, but for some things I can't get around it. So I bought the final compendium of The Walking Dead. So there goes my book budget for a while. That doesn't guarantee that one of those will be the next one I review. I haven't quite figured out if this channel has a genre. I may end up being kind of like I am with fountain pens, where I do some of the ones everybody's interested in and a lot of the weird stuff that only a few people are interested in. We'll see. And I haven't figured out a booktube version of Pens in Use yet. So anyway, this is a really long book review, but I want to thank you for watching, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.